Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about how you know if somebody is a good programmer. So let's get into it. So the question in question here is literally, how do I know if somebody is a good programmer? And we get a few of these. I get a few of these every now and then, but I enjoy just giving you, well, answers to the same questions over and over and over, because usually we do it gets to be a little bit different every time, which is, hey, one of the benefits of not scripting anything that I say. So this is just my take, of course, on how you spot if somebody is a good programmer, but hopefully we can agree on most of this. So as you probably suspect, the first and foremost thing you will notice about a programmer that is pretty good at what they do is that they will produce results. Big shocker, right? They can write code, they can produce results in a fairly fast pace. In other words, they don't take overly long, and they can basically produce whatever it is that is necessary. And a good programmer will always have this ability to analyze a problem, understand what is needed of them to figure out, and do their own research or whatever that is needed in order for them to actually deliver on a project of any sort. And that is like the foundation thing, but I want to add a few things on top of here, because that's I would say the obvious things. I mean, if you can produce good, that's the same way you figure out if somebody's a good athlete. They win the game, right? Or they win the competition. And the same thing is true here. But there is one thing that is sometimes a little bit underestimated when we talk about good programmers. And that kind of comes into this, like, there is this concept that some will use, or there's this term we have that is called rock stars, or rock star programmers. And there's a few different flavors of what that actually means, but there is this group within programming that they have the ability to produce fairly, and I'm going to be honest here, and I will say that most of my experience with these sorts of people is in front end, where they're pretty good at using a set of libraries or some different tools to make some type of user experience or graphical interface that looks very stunning and looks really nice, and has a high perceived value from the people who are looking at or interacting with the thing, right? But this is the thing, like, is that to be a good programmer? I will say yes, to a point, but what I also often find is that the truly skilled programmers are not just the people who can get the results. They are the people who can get those results without the decisions that they've made, without having those decisions come back and cause problems down the line for other people. And that's something that is truly, truly valuable. It's one of the biggest injustices in software development. And that is that you get evaluated based on the here and now. If we were in any way working in a sane universe, which we don't, I'm sorry to say, for the most part, we would have not measured just the time it takes for somebody to produce a given result. We would have measured how much that decision slows down further development, or how many bugs and the time it takes to solve those bugs this solution causes. Because that is something that is extremely undervalued. It's very funny, actually, because I have worked with people like that, where they produce something that impresses all the stakeholders, they ship it, and then as time moves on, they realize, the stakeholders don't realize that, because they have already forgotten about that this is associated with these people who produced it. This is very common when you work with consultants. They produce something that is on time, and like their focus is to just meet the deadline at any cost, and then they ship it, and basically the people who bought the system is now really a lot worse off than they would have if they had actually taken the time to do it properly. Because now it's very hard for people to extend upon that system. It might be full of bugs and issues that may not be there or may not be noticed the first week. And after a while, people just forget, and then you just blame the system, or they blame the current developers who are working on that system, even though they are not necessarily responsible for the situation that they find themselves in. And that's the thing that I think really marks a good programmer, to be able to solve problems in an efficient manner, just as everybody, like as in accordance with expectation, but to also have that ability to solve problems, because you can solve a problem in many ways. But if you have the ability to solve an issue in a way, or having that, that mind's eye, if you will, to predict how your decision is going to impact future people, that is a lot more valuable. An example is that if I work with I love using CSS in this example because it's probably the easiest thing to associate to this. Because if you have a front-end developer or a UX person who designs a web page using base tags as an example, they start mutating the base elements, and they change the styling of what a span is, or button is, or they use IDs and things like that. They can get a page to look absolutely stunning. The problem is that implementation all but makes it, it's already created a situation where any future work is very likely to start causing legacy and causing issues and causing delays for other programmers when they want to add to that code. But a person who uses is it SMAX or BEM or object-oriented CSS, or like a paradigm of working that is designed to not cause the sort of issues that this naive approach actually does, then it's more likely that that person's solution will continue working for a longer period of time without causing delays further down the line. So what I want you to take away from this is that, at least per my definition, how you spot a skilled programmer is by the things that you would expect. They produce results fairly quickly. They know what questions to ask and how to figure out what they need to know in order to solve a problem. They do investigations and they produce results. But the results that they produce don't come back in some unknown form and start causing delays. And that can be anything from that the code that they write doesn't come back as bugs. The code that they write doesn't start causing problems for other developers, because that is very common, that somebody makes an implementation that may have been on time, but it's so shitty that future work is actually impacted and future decisions are impacted by that decision, by that implementation. You have no idea how often it is that you will find code where you want to do something in a specific way that makes sense right now, but you can't because of decisions that somebody has already taken that is unrelated to what you're doing right now. And that's really frustrating and causes a lot of delays in the work that is being done here and now. So programmers who can foresee what the impact of the decisions that they make are extremely valuable. And I would say that's at least how I define a truly skilled programmer. A person who can produce the results without causing the legacy. Have a great day.